Hey, well, good morning, HIM followers, family, and friends. Guys, it is Sunday morning. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say. And I thought I'd get out here and just study God's word a little bit. And, I had something that was really heavy on my mind today. And it wasn't heavy as in a bad thing, but just in heavy as in just constantly thinking. And that is the subject of freedom. Now listen. Now don't jump to conclusions. I just been really thinking about this word and what does it really mean? What does it really mean? And just off the top of my dome, my ball dome, I was thinking no obligations, no limits, no hesitation, no barriers, no roadblocks. You know what I'm saying? No chains, no walls. Freedom, right? Freedom. Those are some words to throw out there to kind of get our brain moving. But let me ask you: have you ever thought about freedom in your mind and freedom in your heart? I forget the name of the movie I was watching, but they were talking. Oh, it was X. It was X, the movie of Malcolm X. Now, just follow me now. He was in prison and he met this guy that kind of helped him to get into the whole Nation of Islam movement and all that, right? And he said, you can be behind bars, you can be in jail or in prison, but you don't have to let jail or being in prison have you. Which means that if your mind is free and your heart is free, no matter what walls people place around you, no matter how they limit you or chain you or put barriers in front of you, you can still be free. So I put that in a context of living free. You see, it's not that we can go out and do anything we want to do. Well, you can, because why? We have a freedom of choice, right? So we can do that. We can make any decisions we want to make. We can go out and do anything we want to do because we are free. Now, there are consequences to that. And that's where a lot of young people, if your parents, listen, your children have the right to make any decision they want to make. They do. But there's consequences, and I hope they understand your consequences in your home or teachers in your school or community people in your community. We need to help people understand that there are consequences to our so-called freedom, you see. But when we are doing things the right way, when we are loving people and serving people and praying for people and showing grace to people and mercy to people and kindness to people and going through things that we keep our mind free, that's true freedom. The Bible even tells us, guys, that there are no laws against that because why? It's the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, long-suffering, and self-control, right? There's no laws against those. You can't take somebody to jail because they loving too much. You can't take somebody to jail because they show mercy and grace too much, or because they have self-control too much, right? So that's freedom right there. That's freedom when you operate in those things. And I know in our world right now today, man, we are seeing people who are executing and implementing their freedom. That's their freedom to do what they want to do. That's what makes this country so awesome, man. That we have the freedom and the right to do whatever we want to do. Even though some things that we do or have the right to do, we do those things and we find ourselves in trouble because it breaks the law, because it hurts others, because it hurts ourselves, right? So our freedom, man, our freedom doesn't have limits. We can do whatever we want to do. It's how you use your freedom is the key, And so as I think about this freedom as a believer, man, as a believer in Jesus Christ. That's right. I said a believer in Jesus Christ. And I know everybody that watch my videos, they're not believers. But as a believer in Jesus Christ, I know one thing, that because my mind is free and my heart is free, I'm going to live in that freedom. Now, sometimes I get jacked up just like a lot of you. You know what I'm saying? I do. I remember, man, back in 1997, I found myself in the midst of this huge event called Stand in the Gap. And we were there and we were worshiping and praying. And I found myself in the middle of a bunch of white men. And in that moment, God told me, Amos, you're not free. You have hate in your heart. You have hatred and pain and a lot of envy and strife because these brothers around you are white. Because what you know is history, you have all these things in your heart. And I'm like going, this is crazy because, man, I'm sitting here, I'm in here, and this is a Christian environment, and yet God is telling me I got hate in my heart for people who are white. What? I was blown away by it, man. I was so broken by it because I thought I was there. I thought I was in there, man. I had a lot of white friends. We always said we had a lot of white friends. I've always been around white people. You know what I'm saying? But the Lord showed me that I had hate in my heart because brothers were white. You see what I'm saying? And no, watch this. It was October of 97. November of 97, I married my white wife. I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes when we think we're free, we're not free in our mind or in our heart. We can act free. We can even do all the things that the Bible tells us to do that keep us free. But if our mind and our heart have any hint of division, any hint of racism, any hint of it, guys, we're not free. We're not free. And so the word, man, the word came to me, and it just broke me. And the Lord said to me, he said to me this in that moment around those guys, hey, the truth shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. I received that word in that crowd with those guys. And man, it was crazy because in my brokenness, these men came around me and they began to pray for me. They began to speak life over me. They didn't even know me. And there were two men that came out of that event that I remember today. As a matter of fact, his name popped in my mind this morning. His name is Chuck, and he lives way out in western Nebraska. And immediately the Lord said, you need to call Chuck. So I'm gonna call Chuck right after this video. Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. If we're going to be free, we need to know the truth. And here's the truth. The truth is this. It's found right here in John chapter 8, verse 30. Listen to 30 through 32. Listen to this. He said, and then many who heard him say these things believed in him. Jesus said to the people who believed in him, you are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings. And you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You know, a lot of times we hear that verse and we just kind of hang on, and the truth shall set you free. But I'm going to tell you something. The truth only lies within Jesus' teachings. In Jesus' teachings, if you are following Jesus' teachings, if you are leaning into him and not the world, if you're leaning into him and not your friends, and leaning into him, not your parents, if you're leaning into him and not your pastor, okay? If you're leaning into Jesus, you are truly his disciples. And his disciples, man, that's the truth. When you are Jesus' disciple, you know the truth, and it's that truth that will set you free. Guys, we are free, but it's not because any man or woman or whoever has done for us. It's because Jesus Christ is the truth, the life. He is the resurrection, and he is coming back for us one day. So let's really live as Jesus' disciples in love, in kindness, in joy, in peace, and showing grace and mercy to all people. that they too can experience the truth, and that truth will set them free. Father, I thank you for what you're doing in this moment. I thank you for those who are listening, and I know because of the truth, you will set them free. God bless, guys.